Just a small example from our work at Fraunhofer is Mr. Schäfer already mentioned the human body reconstructions, but we are also working with VR interaction, or we use technologies for VR, and we also have the 360 camera called the OmniCam 360. We showed that, I think, 2 years ago already, but just to give you a bit for everybody who doesn't know that, this is how 360 video cameras look like mostly. One example, the big one there on the left side is Google Street View, and that's the camera they use there. Most of those cameras do exactly that. So we have some stitching artifacts. And to avoid those stitching artifacts, because that's basically not what you want to see, right? It happens also with cars, or maybe a person comes too close to the camera and then half of the head is cut off. This just should not happen. So we created this camera, and actually this is also not a new approach. Also Disney did that, I think it was in the 50s. We are using this mirror rig to avoid that and basically bring all the cameras, their focal points to one virtual point, and then they meet virtually, and then we have one seamless, stitched 360-degree video. And with our latest version, that's the big camera here, or the big picture of the camera, we added a 4K camera in the ceiling, and so you basically have a full spherical version of the camera. To just give you some examples, and I made it a bit bigger letters here for the ones that are into arts. We have a long cooperation with the Berlin Philharmonics. And also, we love to work with artists, but obviously there are other examples where it can be used and where 360 video is used since at least 2013 with this camera. We can show this on Samsung Gear VR or on other, virtual reality glasses, but you can also show that in our time lab, which is a a big room with a 180-degree screening and a sound system called the wavefield synthesis. The name is ISONO. That is also created with Fraunhofer, the Fraunhofer IDMT. Basically, this is an immersion room. So it's called TimeLab Tomorrow's Immersive Media Experience. And we show the content that our camera is producing basically in this room. But other use cases, not only arts, would be, industrial applications. But here you see an example where we brought a mobile version of our TimeLab. Basically, this 180-degree screen is 3.5 meters high and 8 meters wide, or actually it's 12 meters, and then you curve it. So it's a really big screen. And we brought this to the CeBIT, or also to IFA in Berlin in 2012, where we had the first presentation of the mobile version. As you see, this is also 3D capable. One of the industrial applications we're having here is the TimeLab is the official info point of Deutsche Bahn, meaning that this camera, we are capturing those trains, but we also use microphones because this room, as I said, has the wavefield synthesis integrated. We can simulate the real world of sound, so to say. So here we calculate, or we show, hey, how about the Deutsche Bahn, for instance, would raise those, how do you call them? Those barriers for sound barriers. That's what we do in this room, and we show this. We calculate that, show this, and basically the politics and obviously some higher executives of Deutsche Bahn can see that. One more recent example of the ARRI Alexa version of OmniCam is the shooting at the Berlinale, which we did with ARRI together for Audi. And basically, what it does, one of the use cases is here a mixed reality version. So the pictures, the video you see outside of the car is from our 360 camera. and the other part is obviously CGI. What we see is a new Audi, a new car that is just a prototype and not physically already finished. So you could do that because there are CGI models of all the cars, of all the prototypes. And how about you combine this in a virtual reality experience? And here, what we did is we were driving on the red carpet and put this in this experience. And basically, the viewer can be part of that and is driving on the red carpet, has the experience of being one of the celebrities, and basically even people waving at them and screaming and saying, hey. So you can be one of the celebrities. We can put you into those shoes. I want to tap a bit into augmented reality. And basically, I will come back to this picture again, because what they are using could be also augmented reality. We have phones for that, but we can also have different they call that more mixed reality glasses. Here you see an example of Nemita 2, then Microsoft's HoloLens, and one of the more recent examples is the Magic Leap glasses. Who already saw that one? Whoa. Okay, Sönke, we can talk later. Well, I had them last week on, but they were not allowed to show anything. They had the glasses here in Germany. Anyways, those mixed reality glasses might help us to not only look at on our tablets or phones, but have the images already on glasses. We saw this earlier. Ralf Schäfer showed that with volumetric video, you can also have like the most realistic objects or subjects in this on those screens and place them anywhere in the room. So, for instance, a use case could be the Hollywood studios want to have virtual objects, for instance, of superheroes. So how about we capture volumetrically the Hulk, and then you can have a picture with him or with any of the superheroes. That could be a really nice example when it comes to entertainment. So I want to step more into other use cases. And again, here there's none of the Fraunhofer work. Oh, maybe one. So one really recent example that just announced last week is in Berlin there is the Opernpalais, which was really famous in GDR time at least as a coffee house, and then later on. And a couple of years ago they had to close. And rumor was that there might be a BMW or any other car company buying this. But luckily, the Deutsche Bank bought it and made it an art exhibition. So last week there was the Art Week in Berlin, and they opened, they call it now the Palais Populaire, and they opened this one, and there was a company, Pixomondo and Dos Santos, they created together an augmented reality experience for the Palais. And basically what you do is you walk with your tablet or a smartphone, and you can place it over the new restored building and can see what it looked like in maybe 100 years ago. That's why they call it a time machine, and you can be part of that, and you basically see the history of the building. This is how they bring basically knowledge or education to edutainment, make it more fun to learn about our history. This is just to remind you, when it is virtual reality can put us in someone else's shoes. What do you think what all those people have in common? Just shout out. I think not all of them are dead. I could also not see myself ever putting a slide together where Albert Einstein is with Hugh Hefner together. But basically, they all suffered from a stroke. So there is this one project that is funded where we're working together with a couple of other companies, especially also with Max Planck and the Charité, is dedicated to virtual reality rehabilitation. of patients with cognitive impairments, so for instance, a stroke. What we are doing is those people need a meaningful rehabilitation, a meaningful therapy, because a lot of people with those impairments have a lot of anxiety or fear of going out of the room, out of house, where they feel really safe. So what we do is we're using virtual reality and, for instance, combine this with gesturing and motion that we can train them, for instance, to go back, let's say, to a supermarket. So when you train people in virtual reality to go somewhere, they get used to it, and it's kind of a muscle memory effect that they get more and more used to it and lose the fear of this not known place, because now they kind of know it. So it is a tailor-made virtual reality experience, and so for the tailor-made therapy. And we also want to do that with embodiment, so we are integrating arms and legs. Here's an example of my colleague who is using the virtual reality glasses, and there's also leap motion integrated, so he can see his hands virtually, and he can walk around the experience also by just doing using his shoulder movement, so that we can also do that just in a small room. And then he can grab, as you see, he can reach out with his arm, and that's how he's also opening doors. So those experiences are based on, I think most of you know this, a couple of years ago there was also one speaker here who brought us to the rubber hand illusion. Basically the embodiment is something where we see that it is really helpful to use virtual reality.